Welcome to part 2 of Simple Tools for Brain Surgery. Now that you have learned how to pry the noggin open, let's talk about planting some seeds. Now, what you're going to see is raw footage of interviews done at something called the People's Fair in downtown Denver. This first interview is with a humanist. Now, before the interview began, he told me that he was a former pastor in a mainline Christian denomination. He is now a humanist. So let's see what happens. Okay, so we're just doing interviews. Tell us the name of your booth, and if you would, answer one question for us, okay? And the question is, what happens when you die? Okay.
How about that? Well, this is a booth of the Humanists of Colorado, and we are part of the American Humanist Association, which is international in scope, actually. To answer your question, we don't know, so it doesn't make any difference to us what happens after we die. But I think that we go to dust. Even the scriptures say we come from dirt and we return to dust, to dirt when we die. I plan to be cremated, so my ashes will become dirt fairly quickly instead of waiting for the worms to destroy my body.
What if you are and you? Let's see what he says, shall we? Well, there's a follow-up question to that, of course.
Right.
And you know the follow-up question would be, what if you're wrong about what you believe?
Then that's right. Maybe I'd better join the group so I'll secure my eternal salvation. No, if we are wrong, then it doesn't make any difference, because as humanists, we feel a responsibility to human life, to the environment, to the world in which we live, because it's the only one we're going to experience here anyway. If there's an afterlife, then it's not in our control, and whatever force there is will determine what happens to us.
Okay, thanks a lot.
If we live a good life,
Oh, go ahead.
you know, if we live a good life and we believe that we do have a responsibility to build our own personal ethics and morality, so we should be acceptable to any eternal force.
Now notice, I was ready to leave. I'd asked my 2 questions. I said, thank you very much. What made me stick with this man? He kept what? He kept talking. What specifically did he say that made me stick with this man? If you live a... What do you mean by good? Now, you see, one of the benefits of asking good questions is that one question naturally leads to the next. What's your name? Becky. Now, Becky seemed to be paying attention to me. Okay. She was looking at me. She was nodding. Wasn't nodding off. Okay. She was smiling. Okay. She seemed to be paying attention to me. But I couldn't have told you if Becky was thinking about, a polka-dotted Barney on a pink desert or not. Please, Becky, do not think about that. Do not anybody think about that. Everybody's going, I can't get it out of my head. But the minute I ask her a question, what do I have? I have her complete what? Attention. Okay? And she has to do what? Answer the question. So what I'm doing is I'm thinking of the next question to ask her. So Becky, how do you know your name is Becky, Becky? You were named that. And who named you? Our parents. And your name? Megan. And Megan, how do you know your name is Megan, Megan? And you can't say parents because Becky already took that answer. Your birth certificate. Now notice, both Becky and Megan referred to a source outside themselves. If we start with ourselves, we can't know much at all, can we? Not even our own names. That's a bit frightening, isn't it? You see, all knowledge is derived from an outside source. What is the only reliable, authentic, accurate outside source of information to which we have access? It is what? Like, why don't you say it like Texans would say it? Say, the Bible. Say it with me. The Bible. Okay. We have an accurate, reliable source. But the question is what? What do you mean by good? How do you know what is good? How do you determine what is good? Let's see what he says, shall we? Well, the question would then be, how do you determine what is good?
We all do that individually. We all, it's situation ethics. The Christian conservative would not accede to that kind of a statement, but we as humanists would, that it's a situation. It's determined by the situation itself, what is right or wrong about that for me.
It's up to thee, dependent upon thee. He's not going to say that what Hitler did to the Jews is right, is he? Let's find out. But then I'd have to ask you the question that you've been hit with before, I'm sure, and that is, you're not going to say that Hitler was right in what he did to the Jews, would you?
No, absolutely not.
Whoa! What is the key word there? Absolutely, but he's already told me that he is a humanist, and a humanist denies there are such things as? How do you know? Everybody try it with me. How do you know? How do you know that Hitler was wrong? How do you know Timothy McVeigh was wrong? How do you know those terrorists were wrong? How do you know? Let's see what he says, shall we? What's your standard then? Because you just told me that it's what the individual determines is right or wrong. And Hitler determined, or Charlie Manson determined, it was right to kill somebody. Right. How are you going to respond to that action?
There are, I don't want to say that there are universal, that there's a universal ethic.
No, we wouldn't want to say that now, would we?
In human society, and humanists believe that we are responsible for ourselves and our community. In human society, there are certain things that are right. We don't, the commandment itself, we don't kill our neighbor.
Whoa! To what did he just refer? The Bible. Everybody say it with me. The Bible. And yet he's already told me that he is a what? Humanist. And a humanist denies that there's anything that's supernatural, and yet the Bible claims to be the supernaturally revealed Word of God. You know what this man's doing? He's stealing lumber from my worldview to build his. And stealing is a no-no, unless, of course, you happen to be a, then it doesn't really matter after all, does it? Let's find out what else he says, shall we?
We don't try to destroy human life. Some of us have a real question about capital punishment, for example.
But not abortion.
Hitler was wrong. Genocide is wrong no matter where it comes from.
Genocide is wrong no matter where it comes from. What do you mean by genocide? Well, genocide is a killing of an entire group or so-called race of people. By the way, once again, how many races are there? One. It's called what? Human. But he says genocide is wrong no matter where it comes from. How do you know? How many of you have heard a woman has a right to control her own body? How many have heard that? Okay. What do you mean by her own body? Well, the argument is that the child in the woman's body is much like the key on the piano keyboard, right? It's part of the piano. Well, if that's the case, then, wow, a woman has 4 arms, 4 legs, 2 heads. And if it's a male child, a very serious problem. You see how stupid that statement is? Simply by asking the question, what do you mean by? You can dismantle arguments just by asking questions. You don't have to argue. You just get wide-eyed and innocent and say what? I don't understand. What do you mean by evolution? What do you mean by fact? Excuse me, what do you mean by the Big Bang? And then, excuse me, but how do you know? Well, let's see what happens, shall we? Okay. Yeah, I'm going to stop there because, again, the question would be, how do you know that genocide is wrong? How do you know that murder is wrong? How do you know that Charlie Manson or Hitler or anybody is wrong? Because what you've got is you have set up, if I'm not mistaken, a universal absolute. Are there absolutes?
If there was an absolute, it would be the responsibility we have to each other and to our community. And that would, of course, mean that to kill is wrong.
So is it by majority opinion? Or is it a revealed absolute? Or is it innate in every person? What? Now notice, I could have gone back to the killer question, which of course is, how do you know? But if you ask that question repeatedly, you appear to be obnoxious, okay? And if there's anything I do not wish to appear to be. Actually, I felt sorry for the guy, so I gave him a multiple guess test. Is it by majority opinion that you know right from wrong? Is it revealed? Or is it innate? Is it born in the person? Now, which one of those three can he not choose as a humanist? Revealed, because he's already told me he's a humanist. Of the other two, born in the person or majority opinion, which one do you think he chose? I would have thought born in the person, but you're exactly correct. He chose majority opinion. Do you think we can do something with this one? Let's find out, shall we?
Well, humanism believes in a democratic ideal. Yeah, we go by a majority, but we would also go against the majority if we felt that if the decision of the majority was wrong, and we would accept the civic consequences of that.
Wait a minute, we'll go with the majority we think the majority is. We'll go against the majority we think the majority is. How do you know? You constantly have to drive them back to that question because in philosophy, that is the study known as epistemology. The study of how you know anything. How do you know? But we get all concerned about these arguments that they raise in our culture, and we say, oh, we better do something. Back the wrecking crane up in here, Joe. We start swinging the wrecking ball. Boom, boom, boom. And their arguments don't even quiver because they're so well reinforced from the inside out. But you don't need wrecking cranes to destroy their arguments. You just use squirt guns. And when the base of the argument gets wet, what happens? It crumbles. You know what the squirt guns are? The 4 questions. We've got to learn to use them wisely. Let's see what happens when we go to the Freedom From Religion Foundation booth. People, one simple question, okay? Whichever one of you wants to answer it can, okay? The question is, what happens when you die?
You rot like any other animal.
Okay, what if you're wrong about what you believe?
I'm not wrong what I believe.
Well, how do you know that to be true?
Because I'm intelligent.
Excuse me, you're saying that you know that you rot when you die? How do you know that to be true? You're saying you're intelligent, okay, I don't doubt that, but you're finite, you haven't lived forever, right?
I haven't lived forever, no.
Okay, and you haven't been everywhere in the universe, right?
I've been on Earth, that's about all.
Okay, so how do you know for certain that you're correct in what you're saying that happens when you die?
Because I'm a person who knows how to think, and I'm not persuaded by a book that was written thousands of years ago.
Excuse me, why would we be any different than any other living organism? Everything that dies rots.
Oh, I got one of those over there.
And then that's it? You're just the physical body?
No problem. I have no problem with that. I'm not afraid of that. I'd rather that than some pie-in-the-sky fantasy and illusion or the horror that somebody knows that I had a terrible thought and therefore I'll rot forever after or burn in hell.
Okay, what happens if you're wrong?
What happens if I'm wrong? What happens if you're wrong? How can I answer a silly question like that? Notice the technique. What did she do? She turned the questions on me. These are not Christian questions. They're just great questions to ask.
How are you going to respond when somebody asks you, how do you know that what you believe is true? How do you know the Bible's true? You see, in our culture, there are still people you can lead to the Lord. But the further away we drift from a biblical worldview, the more I'm convinced you have to push them to be consistent with what they say they believe. And when they reach the end and they say there's got to be an answer, then you offer them the hope of Jesus Christ. Francis Scott Key said this, "I do not believe there are any new objections to be discovered to the truth of Christianity. Men may argue ingeniously against our faith, but what can they say in defense of their own?" In other words, the best defense is a good offense. So how do you get back on the offensive? I'm going to suggest that you add this question to your list. And here's the question. What would you accept as evidence? What would you accept as evidence? Now, by asking that question, will I find out if the person is being serious with me? Will I? Yes. Will I find out if they're playing head games with me? Yes. In this particular instance, however, I did not think of that question to ask. And what you're going to hear me say is, I ask you first. Well, the question is, what if you're wrong?
But what if you're wrong? What's the answer?
That's a nice try, but I ask you first.
No, I don't think that works. You don't know whether you're wrong. I don't know. What happens if you're wrong? What happens if I'm
So, wait a minute. You said you don't know if you're wrong, and I don't know if I'm wrong.
No, I said you can't. You're saying I can't prove that I'm right.
No, I just ask what happens if you're wrong.
You're suggesting I should live my life based on your, what is your possibility?
Wait. I'm not suggesting anything. I'm just asking a question. What happens if you're wrong? Answer the question.
Like I said, what happens
But
if you're
we're not
wrong?
wrong.
What?
We're not wrong.
How do you know?
Because I know I'm wrong. Because I'm intelligent. Where your mind is 5,000 years ago. You're still living in the Dark Ages.
Wait, I'm just asking a question. You are making accusations. I'm just asking you a question. How do you know that what you believe is true?
Because they're no different than any other living organism on Earth. When something dies, they rot, they become an organic matter, and that's all.
So therefore, why are you out trying to convince people that they're wrong?
We're not trying to convince you, we're trying to stop you from pushing your beliefs on everybody else.
Really?
That's right.
How are you trying to stop us from pushing our beliefs on everybody else?
By lawsuits, by legislation, anything that comes about.
So what? What difference does it make? I mean, after all, he's already told me that all that happens is you're born, you live, you die, you rot, you stink, and become extinct. So what difference does it make what I believe between the time I'm born and the time I die? I mean, what difference does it make whether or not I help the little old lady across the street or run her over with my Harley? One happens to be a bit more challenging and entertaining than the next. What difference does it make? Let's find out what he says, shall we? But it's interesting because you said that all that happens is that when you die, you rot.
Exactly.
So what difference does it make what a person believes in this life?
We're talking about legislation about forcing women to go through birth if they don't want it, forcing public school children to pray in school, to force your beliefs on all Americans just because of what you believe.
Well, aren't there other people who are out there trying to force their beliefs on other Americans?
Yes, there are, and there are people that are trying to stop them also.
So why aren't you trying to stop all those people?
We only stop the ones that are a threat to our society as Americans.
Did you hear what he just called you? A threat to society. You ought to be doing cartwheels down the aisle. Woohoo! That's one of the greatest compliments a Christian could be paid. In fact, that's why this conference exists. That's why Worldview Academy exists. That's why AIG exists. That's why your churches exist. That's why your families have encouraged you to come here, because they understand that Christianity is a what? Threat to the world system. And I put to you that this atheist understands it far better than most Christians. He ought to be preaching that from every pulpit in the United States because he knows what biblical Christianity is. It is a threat. Unfortunately, most Christians have succumbed to the gospel of niceness. Let's see what he says. How do you know it's a threat? If all we do is just die and we rot, how can anything be a threat to society?
First of all, you keep changing the subject. You go from political matters to science matters and religious matters.
Actually, you're the one changing the subject, because I asked you what happens when you die, and then you said you want to stop people from forcing their beliefs on everybody else. That's your purpose of your booth or your organization. All I'm asking is, what if you're wrong about what you believe and you die?
Well, I'm not wrong what I believe when you die. When you die, you rot and become organic matter. Period.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, just
But how do you know that?
How do I know that? Because of my intelligence, I know that. And if I don't have all day to discuss,
So you know everything?
no one knows everything.
So there's a possibility that you could be wrong?
When it comes to religious matters, I'm correct. And I've been correct in my preteens, and I'm correct now.
What verse comes to mind when he says, when I was correct in my, when it comes to religious matters, I was correct in my preteens and I'm correct now? When I was I thought as acted, spoke as a child. But when I became a man, I did what? Put away childish things. I understand that it's humorous when he says, I'm intelligent. But you know what? I can't laugh at it anymore. Because you see, this man is now a friend of mine. Sorry. Sometimes it doesn't bother me. And that's when it really bothers me. You know, it's one thing to mock their ideas, and their ideas are worth mocking. It's a far different thing, however, isn't it? To stand across the booth and look into their eyes and see the pain and the suffering and the hopelessness. Because then you cannot hate them. Too often, not only are we soft-headed, but we are hard-hearted. When we, of all people, who have access to the revealed truth of the Word of God, we ought to be the most hard-headed of all. We ought to be thinking God's thoughts after Him. And we who have received the grace of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, we ought to be the most tender-hearted towards people. I put to you that every one of you in here knows someone just like Steve. A friend, a neighbor, a classmate, a relative, a coworker, a professor. And I pray before you walk out of the doors tonight that the Holy Spirit brings that person to your mind and you will commit to writing them a letter, calling them on the phone, handing them a tract, taking them out for coffee, and giving them the clear gospel of Jesus Christ. Because just like Steve, they're bound for hell. They're bound for hell. Now, we've been talking a lot about the Creator this weekend, have we not? But if I didn't introduce you to the Creator, I wouldn't be doing my job. So I'm going to ask you the same question I've been asking them. And that is, if you were to die right now, would you know for certain you'd go to heaven when you died? If you didn't know, and I could tell you in less than 2 minutes, would that be good news? May I tell you? You might as well say yes, because you know I'm going to tell you anyway. You can time me if you want, okay? Here you go. You ready? Let's say that this hand represents you and me and everybody in the world. Let's say that my watch represents sin. Do you all know what sin is? Do you all know what sin is? It's what offends a holy God. Ever done any bad things? Thought any bad thoughts? Yeah. I mean, we all have, right? I mean, if you really knew me, you would not have invited me to speak to you because I've done some pretty awful things and I've thought worse. But then again, if I really knew you, I would not have accepted the invitation, would I? See, the problem is we've all got what? Sin, and our sin condemns us to hell. That's the bad news. Now, I know a lot of people go to church on Sunday, they go out and feed the homeless, they try to save the whales. Does that take away their sin? No, what does it do? Covers it up. As a friend of mine says, it's like white frosting on a burnt cake. Looks pretty, but it's not very tasty. In other words, good deeds cannot erase sin, and our sin condemns us to hell. That's the bad news. The good news is this hand represents Jesus Christ, who was and is God. He came to earth in the form of a man. He lived a perfect life, and he took all sin on himself. Now, if he took all sin on himself, what is there left for us to pay? Nothing. And he paid the penalty for sin. The Bible says the wages of sin is death. He died a horrible, tortuous, undeserved death on a cross. He got rid of that sin. He proved he was God by defeating death. He resurrected. And he said that anyone who puts his trust in him, he will give that person what? Eternal life. And how long is eternal? Forever. Is that good news? Is that great news? How long did it take me? Minute, 47 seconds. If I can tell you, 27 seconds. If I can tell you, can you tell people out there? Why don't we? One little word. One little word. Fear. Fear of? Rather than fear of God. And I put to you that every Bible-believing church in the metro area should have equipped their saints in the Sunday morning service and then bussed them down to the People's Fair and flooded that place with truth and grace. It is not the atheist who's the problem. It's not the New Ager. It's not the evolutionist. It is the Bill Jacks of this world who are more comfortable in our padded pews than we are out there engaging the culture in conversation. I'm the problem. Now, some of you are sitting here and you're thinking, Bill, you were pretty harsh with these people. So be it. So be it. They are worth pursuing because they bear the image of the Creator. They are worth pursuing.